anything on the verbal part. What was your strategy? How did you study for verbal? Like how many hours you devote on a daily basis for verbal?
So for verbal, my daily routine was to attempt a single past previous year sectional of
Okay.
verbal. And every weekend I used to give a complete sectional and a full length if possible. And during my office hours, I used to make it a point to read the newspapers and read some articles online. I had few websites and I used to read articles from that.
Okay.
Yeah, and it is not about, as you told us, that it is not about a certain domain of the articles coming up. Like it is not always psychology or mythology or something like that. So you have to come up with a strategy that applies for any damn article that you come across. So that was a key note while preparing for VARC section. Then I also followed the strategy of spending around 10-15 minutes on the VA part and then jumping to the RC section. So that I don't miss out on the obvious questions.
Perfect.
Yeah. So when you jump into the RC part, you analyze the LOD, which was the very main strategy that I applied, analyzing the LOD. Yeah. So when you look at a paragraph, you don't have to read the entire thing. You just go through the questions quickly, like we did the first para, last para strategy, or the first sentence, last sentence strategy, so on. So you get a quick overview of what this article is all about, and you decide whether to attempt it or not.
Right. Wonderful. This LOD actually, reminds me to kind of ask you a question, because if you look at, as far as the CAT is concerned, so as a student, we are always kind of running after a score.
Yeah.
That okay, let's just if I get 150, I'll be getting let's say 99 percentile, or if I get 100 marks, I will be getting around about 90 percentile. But I have always been of the opinion that you have to gauge level of difficulty of your paper, and accordingly on a DD, you have to take a call. So, did it really help you? Did that strategy, or maybe strategies like Godfather strategy, bucketing strategies, like any comment on the strategy front?
So the LOD strategy is like a Brahmastra. It always helps. So there is no copying of paper. No paper will be similar as the previous slot or the previous year. So you cannot rely on the previous percentiles ki itne pe itna aayega. You cannot do that. So every time you have to make a practice of gauging the LOD and then attempting the questions, because getting positive marks is as important, but not getting negative marks is even more important.
Absolutely.
Because whatever you have achieved, that also goes in vain if you get negative marks. So there is no point attempting questions just for the sake of increasing the count of questions.
Right. See, this is a very good point that you said, like increasing the count of questions, because a lot of time when I speak to students, what I get to know is that, Pooja, that if I want 45 marks, right, I can probably attempt 15 questions multiplied by 3, I'll get 45 marks in particular section. So if 45 nahi banta hai 15 se, so what we will do is, because our accuracy itni sahi nahi hoti, so we'll attempt 22 questions with 80% accuracy or 70% accuracy, and that's why we will get 15 questions correct. Like you have nailed it, like you've scored 98.37, right? First attempt, that too. So do you think that accuracy is something they should not be taking into consideration, or do you think that accuracy really plays an important role, at least for exam like CAT or ZAT?
For exams like CAT and ZAT, crucially, accuracy is a very important factor, because as I said that when you score positive marks, you're happy. But when it goes in negative, it counts. It is like +4 and -5, because you're not scoring that 3 or 4 marks. So that plays and plus on the top of that, you wasted your time attempting that question.
True. Very true.
Like, for example, when I attempted the QA section, I went through the questions in a lap wise. Like first lap, you attempt so many questions, which comes in the first go. And then second cycle, you attempt some more questions, which you think it requires some calculation, par ban jayega. So those questions you attempt. And with the time you have left, select those questions which you will be able to do given some time. So concentrate your efforts on 1 or 2 questions which you can do with 100% accuracy, rather than hitting and trial every question with some accuracy, some random thing. Yeah.
I remember the lab strategy. I remember. Perfect. Now, with this thing, what I want to understand is how many mocks in total you gave, like in this 6-7 months. How many mocks you wrote actually?
I practiced a full-length mock every weekend when I was working. And before 1 month, like in the month of October, I gave mocks 2 to 3 mocks every week. I increased the count of mocks because it is not only the score of mock, but the practice of sitting at a place for 3 hours and concentrating on your paper is more important, because there have been times like you come across a section which is very difficult and you feel like I'll just close this browser and run away. And that is not how you like do. Because on the D-Day itself, that happened to me as well. When I attempted the VARC section, I came across the DILR. So on the first go, I could not crack even a single set. And I like for 10 minutes, I was looking at the timer, that the timer is running and this is gone. So this year is gone, like I was thinking. And then I again thought of your case. You once told us that the same thing happened with you as well. And then you came back and like you solved the sets accordingly. So that practice is really important, and that is what mocks gives you. So the score is always not important. Obviously, the score is important, which helps you analyze, like the dashboard we had for C2C mentors. It gave a perfect breakdown of your weak topics and your strong topics.
Analysis.
So the analysis was top notch. And that practice of getting psychologically into a habit of sitting there for 3 hours and concentrating as if it is your D-Day paper is really a must-do thing for all aspirants.
Absolutely. So, Pooja, what's your take on this? Like, is it quantity of mocks or quality of mocks?
It is absolutely, undoubtedly quality of mocks. Because the quantity of mocks, what happens is there comes a point wherein you start taking it very lightly. Ye ho gaya, then next week we'll catch up. So, theek hai, har baar ka hi hai, let's leave this one. In the next one, we'll improve. So that should not happen. You finish a topic, you be confident about that and attempt the mock, which will give you a better analysis, is what I feel. Otherwise, what you feel is ki I hadn't prepared enough, so obviously I was going to score low. So that is not what we want, right? We are not wasting our 3 hours or 1 hour or whatever into that mock. We should get something out of that.
Right. You know, what made me to ask this question is because, you know, when a person like you say it, because you've converted IIMK, and I'm very sure there are other calls which you will be able to convert. When you score 98.37 and when you made it to IIMK, what you say will have more value, no doubt about that. And that's where, you know, I want all the students to understand that here, just by writing your mocks, 50 mocks, 60 mocks, 40 mocks, आपका score बढ़ने नहीं वाला है. Until and unless you prepare yourself very well for those topics, you understand your mocks very well, then you will be seeing the growth in your score as and when you kind of keep on writing those mocks. So fine. So thank you so much for that clarification.